Hey everyone, it is Saturday, August the 24th, around 12:15 p.m. and today I'm hiking in central western Virginia in the House Mountain Reserve, which lies due west of Lexington, Virginia, and just south of Interstate 64 in the Allegheny Mountains. This hike has been on my radar for a while. It is already posted on Hiking Upward. I'll put the link to that hike in the video information. Maybe I'll put a button up, but I always forget to put buttons up. But House Mountain consists of two mountains, Little House and Big House, and both have fantastic views on a relatively short hike. My main reason for coming here is Big House Mountain is on the top 50 most prominent list for the Southeast, which I'm about 50% of the way done, and I'm trying to finish in the next year or so. Additionally, both Big House and Little House Mountain have fantastic views according to the Hiking Upward post, so it should be a really good hike. It is listed as 8.5 or 8.2 miles total on Hiking Upward, and at the parking lot, the trail distances added up to about 8.5. So it's not too long, but the elevation gain is substantial for this short hike. I think it'll be above 2,800 feet. So that means that both approaches to the summit of Little House and Big House are steep. So the parking lot is kind of behind me, about 1.5 miles back. And this forest road leads to a saddle between the two, where there's camping and a primitive shelter. Then from there, you can take one trail up to Little House and one trail up to Big House. So our first destination will be Big House, since it is on the Peakbagging list, and my friend Jonathan is with me, and his back is kind of iffy sometimes. So we're gonna hit Big House first, and if he can't do Little House, I'll do it by myself. But it is a pretty nice day for this midsummer. A little bit cloudier than the forecast was supposed to be. Mostly cloudy with some blue poking through. But it's in the mid 60s to low 70s. So it feels quite nice out. I hope that continues with a little bit better visibility when we reach the top. Anyways, the next step should be the saddle with the shelter and the campsites. But first I'm going to show you right now the track and the elevation profile. I'm going to try to do a new thing in my videos where I introduce those pictures a little bit earlier. Here is the shelter in the gap between the two mountains. Very crude shelter. One floor, no bunks, one bench. I guess it's better than nothing, especially if it's pouring down rain, because it's got a steel roof, so you can get out of the rain, but can't fit that many people, and you're gonna have to sleep close to the wall if you want to do this instead of bring a tent. The big overlook on the southwest side of Big House Mountain looks awesome. Let's go check it out. This is a very awesome overlook. Currently looking west towards the upper end of the Collier's Creek Valley. I don't have a map or topo quads to check what peaks I'm looking at, But basically the first few rows are in Virginia, and then West Virginia is 3 or 4 ridges back. And then Collier's Creek begins on the right and flows south. And that's what I could see on the map is Collier's Creek gets bigger and bigger as it flows in this direction. But it's really impressive. Let's see if I can make this little rock leap while holding my phone. Easy. This is pretty awesome. So I don't really know what's in this direction. I do know as you go south, that's kind of the area between Lexington and Roanoke. So you're kind of getting close to the McAfee Knob, Dragon Tooth area, and then the peaks north of Blacksburg, like Bald Knob and the Mountain Lake Wilderness area around the West Virginia border. And then it just opens up in this direction because the Maury River begins to the north of here and flows south to meet the James River, which kind of flows through, I believe, through there. That's the James River Gorge towards Lynchburg. So on the right, the peaks going up are in the James River face wilderness leading up to Apple Orchard Mountain, and everything around there, around 4,000 feet or above, are obscured by clouds. And then north of the James River, it immediately climbs up to Big Rocky Row, and I think that peak on the left is Bluff Mountain. So really, really great views up here, about 270 degrees of the Blue Ridge Escarpment and the Allegheny Mountains of Virginia. The trail passes through this really cool boulder garden on the way to the summit of Big House Mountain, including this formation known as Tabletop Rock. Really awesome little area.
Big ass rock there.
Yeah, I wonder how many tons it weighs.
Sit on the edge over there.
Where?
Over here to the right.
Okay, I will.
And then I'll get your picture of you hanging off the end of it.
Like I'm gonna be crushed. The highest ground of Big House Mountain, 3,645 feet. The 11th most prominent peak in Virginia. It's on the top 50 Southeast prominence list, but I forget where it's ranked. I think it's in the 40s. But no views from the summit, so we're gonna backtrack and head over to the Little House next. Back at the saddle. This is at the junction with the Little House Mountain Trail. Very nice campsite. More appealing to me than the shelter area. And I still don't know where water is located, but if you go straight down that forest road, there may be water down there, but I'm not sure. Also, something I missed earlier, between here and the shelter is a latrine. But now we are tackling the Little House Mountain Trail. It's 1.3 miles total, but I think in the first half mile or so, we're going to climb about 500 feet to the summit. And then we'll follow the ridge line to the end where there's an awesome cliff overlook. And we could see it from Big House Mountain. But, you know, it was the first time I've shown you the map, because the map of the parking lot was a lot dirtier and harder to see through glass. This doesn't show the parking lot. It's down here a little bit further. But when we went up to Big House, this is the overlook, the really nice one. And then we went to the summit following the red trail. And instead of turning around, we actually followed a forest road that met up with this trail about right here. And this is the saddle campsite area, and time for this climb. Other side of the cool rock overhang. The boulders are really fun on Little House Mountain. At the northern tip of Little House Mountain, there's a couple big overlooks up here. This one's on the northwest side and has a open view of Big House Mountain. And it looks like we missed these cliffs because the summit is right here, and we both hiked a little bit north past a old building and then turned around. And I bet if we kept going down the old road, we'll have popped out near those cliffs that look like they have similar views to this. I have open view to the west northwest of the I-64 corridor towards West Virginia. And then this is the Goshen Wildlife Management Area. I forgot what the gorge name, but the Maury River cuts through the middle of that. It's supposed to be good hiking in there. And then due north is Big Butte, which is a P1K peak for Virginia. And further north, I see a much bigger peak. And also, that could be Elliott Knob. Further north, obscured by clouds, because it's a lot taller than this. It's at least 4,000 feet. But it's in the distance. I don't know, I'd have to check my maps to see how close Elliott Knob is from here, but I know it's due west of Staunton, which is not too far north of this. This outcrop is much more expansive views towards the northeast and east. I don't know if this is technically the Maury River Valley, but the Shenandoah River begins further north. But towards the east and northeast are the Blue Ridge, Central Virginia Blue Ridge Mountains between Lynchburg and Charlottesville. A lot of 4,000 foot peaks in here. I think on the left, where it kind of curves around, are the peaks of the St. Mary's Wilderness. And then as we move to the right, somewhere in here are three ridges. I think this peak is three ridges, and then it goes up to the Priest somewhere in there, and it kind of stays high towards Main Top Mountain and Spy Rock. And then almost due east across Lexington are the peaks around the Mount Pleasant National Scenic Area, including Mount Pleasant Pompey Mountain, Rocky Mountain, Coal Mountain, and Bald Knob. And the third big outcrop has outstanding views to the east and southeast. This is really an incredible overlook and is now one of my favorites in Virginia. US 60 cuts through this area down towards Buena Vista and eventually Lexington, which is down here. And this larger peak in the middle is Bluff Mountain. It's like 3,700. And then somewhere in there, the James River cuts through that gorge. And towards the southeast, the Appalachian Trail rises out of the gorge, crossing the highest peak in the Virginia Blue Ridge, Apple Orchard Mountain, which I can now see without the clouds. This is it. And then further southeast, I can also see Flat Top and Sharp Top of the Peaks of Otter recreation area. So, I mean, it's hard to beat this viewpoint on the north end of Little House Mountain. And if you were going to hike here and you were too tired to do both or physically unable to do both, pick this one. And the trail seems like it goes on forever across the ridge top. So just keep going and going until it ends. Almost finished with the hike. About 0.4 miles from the car, but I decided to wait here for Jonathan instead of going all the way to the car because, you know, picnic table with a decent view. Sit down and rest for a few minutes while he catches up. It's about 5:40 p.m., which means that this hike is going to be a solid 6 hours. It was more difficult, and I believe it's longer than I expected. I thought it was going to be about 5 hours, and the trail distances on the map say 8.5 miles total, but I would be really surprised if it wasn't between 9 and 9.5. But either way, really outstanding hike. The views from Big House Mountain were very good, but the views from the edge of Little House Mountain were outstanding. Some of the best I've seen in Virginia. So if you're going to do this hike, highly recommend doing both, especially if you're a peak bagger, you're going to want to do Big House Mountain. But if you only have time for one, or if you are too tired to do both, then definitely choose Little House Mountain for the views. But I think this is going to be it for the day. We're going to head to a brewery,